If you have spent years handed a folder of normal results while your body told you a very different story, you bounced from specialist to specialist trying to piece together why you had all these symptoms, this session is for you. Hi, my name is Dr. Kara Wada. I'm a quadruple board certified allergy, immunology, lifestyle medicine physician. I also live with Sjögren's disease and dysautonomia. Today, we're sharing the closing keynote from our recent 5th annual virtual Sjögren Summit. And is the first lesson that every patient who works with our clinic, the Immune Confident Institute, learns before we work together. I call it Rise Stronger because you are not broken and you are not making this up. You are not a mystery. In this session, I'll help you see the perfect storm behind the scattered symptoms, why you cannot fix a storm by chasing a single raindrop, and the small, doable first steps you can take even on your very worst days. Once you see the loop, you can start to interrupt it. And you are not alone in this. If this helps you, make sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, and check the description below for more resources. In the meantime, let's hop in. Welcome to day 3. If you've been with us since the beginning of this awesome 5th annual virtual Sjögren Summit, you have heard from some of the most generous experts in this field. And you've also heard from folks living similar stories to your own. Perhaps they've had years of symptoms that are very real, but also have had labs that keep saying normal, or played the game of hot potato from specialist to specialist, trying to piece together symptoms from all over their body that seem to only have one thing in common. You, the person they're in, right? This closing session, I want to do something a little different. I'm not going to give you a highlight reel. I'm going to teach you the exact first lesson that every patient and client who works with us at the Immune Confident Institute learns. It's a map that makes those scattered, confusing symptoms finally make sense, and it's the first session of our Immune Confident Operating System Builder, the Immune Confident OS. It's yours today as part of this summit. Before we begin, I want to say something to you directly. You are not broken. You are not making this up, and you are not a mystery. Your symptoms are real, even when, and especially when, your labs are normal. And if no one has ever told you that yet, please let me be the one to say, we believe you. You're like a lot of folks that we work with. You spent years, you've been handed a folder of a lot of normal results while your body told you a very different story. And that gap between where you're living and what the tests show, what the expert opinions show, that is exactly what these 4 weeks are going to work to close. By the end, you'll have language for what's happening inside you and the beginning of a plan that you can run with. So let's start where everything starts, by making sense of the storm. Here's how these 4 weeks will work. The Immune Confident Operating System Builder course is 4 weeks. Each week has one short session like this one, along with 1 or 2 small practices that we want you to practice over the course of the week. We aim for these to be very small. We want them to be activities or practices that you can do even on and especially on your worst day. Week by week, we move through the 4 parts of the Immune Confident approach: recognize, reclaim, rebel, and rise. And by the end, you won't just have information. You'll have the first version of something that most people with complex immune system symptoms have never been given. You'll have your own operating manual or system for your body. You don't need to prepare anything. You don't need to be at your best. You just need to press play once a week, and let's build this together. When chronic immune system symptoms pile up, it is tempting to look for that one thing. The one food, the one test, the one diagnosis, the one root cause. But you cannot fix a storm by chasing a single raindrop. What is actually happening is that several weather systems have converged all at once. I like to call this the perfect storm. And there are 4 main drivers. The first is barrier disruption. Your body has protective linings that cover your respiratory tract, your airway, your skin, your gut, and especially as women, our genital urinary tract. And when those linings get more leaky or permeable than they should be, your immune system starts reacting to things that it normally would ignore. Foods, particles in the environment like pollen, and sometimes even our own tissue. The second, dysbiosis, an imbalance in your microbiome. These are the community of microbes that are living in and on us. They coat our skin, our respiratory tract, our gut, our genital urinary tract, and they help coach our immune system on what is friend and what is foe. Things like antibiotics, stress, illness, low fiber diet, eating less of just about everything, depending on the current diet that is, popular. All those sorts of things can throw those communities off. The types, the number, the behavior of those colonies and those communities look and act different. And that can cause your immune system to be confused and start to misfire. The third is our immune and nervous systems in a state of dysregulation. These two systems are deeply biologically intertwined. When your nervous system has been running in a chronic state of high alert, your immune system stays on high alert right alongside it. And you better bet if your immune system is on high alert, your nervous system feels that and it stays on high alert as well. We're going to go deeper into this in week 3. And part 4 is metabolic and hormonal dysfunction. Now, I don't specifically mean weight, although that is sometimes for some folks how this can show up or present itself. But I also mean more broadly the way our cells make and spend energy. This includes considering how our mitochondria, which are like the little battery packs in our cells, how those are functioning. How does our body handle blood sugar? What is the low background hum that inflammatory chemistry and that nervous system dysregulation has on our body? When this driver is active, fatigue starts to make a lot more sense. It becomes a logical, biological outcome of an overloaded system. So here's why this matters. The fatigue, the brain fog, the joint pain, the rashes, racing heart when you stand up, reflux, constipation, they can feel like a dozen unrelated problems, and they're often sent to a dozen different specialists. But when we see them through the lens of the storm, they start to look like what they are. It's weather coming from the same front, making its way through the system. Often, the standard labs will read as normal because they were designed to spot isolated little thunderstorms, one lane at a time. But this storm is happening across the whole system, and sometimes those don't show up right away. Let me reframe some of the cells you may have heard about. Your mast cells and other innate immune cells are our body's first-line responders, and all the other parts and pieces that work alongside them. They're not the enemy, they're just our smoke alarms, and their whole job is to notice a possible threat and sound the alarm. The reason they seem to go off in everything is that the storm keeps filling the house with smoke. We're not trying to rip out the smoke alarms. We're trying to reduce the smoke that keeps setting them off. Now, there's a loop underneath all of this that's running. Stress activates the immune system. An activated immune system creates more symptoms. More symptoms create more stress, and around and around and around we go. And it explains why we tend to flare after a hard week, after a head cold, a long flight, poor sleep, days coming up before your period. Each one nudges an already sensitized system past its point of tolerance and that threshold. The good news, and the word I want you to focus in on that sentence, is the word loop. Once you can see a loop, you can start to interrupt it. Now, I want to be very careful here because this is where people start to blame themselves. Your lifestyle did not cause your illness. What your daily life provides are inputs into your biology. Food, sleep, movement, stress, light exposure, human connection, the stories we tell ourselves. Some of those signals help calm the storm, and some of them may add to it. It's not a moral statement, it's physiology, and it's frankly what the study of lifestyle medicine is. The model we're going to use for these 4 weeks is simple. Inputs go into your system processes them, and the symptoms are the outputs. Your immune and nervous systems are the system in the middle, and we don't chase the outputs. We learn to adjust the inputs gently, one lever at a time. Most programs right now would hand you a long list of rules, perhaps a new supplement stack. We're going to build on something steadier, a foundation for all of this, an operating system, 5 capabilities, and 1 question that runs through all of them. Which system needs support right now? C is thinking about how you relate to your body. Learning to read it is something giving you data, something deserving of care. Support, taking into account the people around you, your regulation, your decisions, your safety. Signals are your skills at reading your own patterns with curiosity. Routines are what you do on a good day, a hard day, and a flare day. and you've decided that ahead of time. And adjust is the quiet meta skill of changing course without it turning into self-judgment. You'll see these 5 in every session with a different one highlighted as we go. So this week during Recognize, we're going to lean onto the signals and routines, and we're going to work on those. So we're going to start by talking about 2 small skills. This is intentionally simple. We want these to be doable on your worst day, the day that you cannot even get out of bed. The first is a signals skill. We're going to work on noticing your patterns. For the next few days to the week, I want you to jot down, think about a particular symptom. Maybe it's one that's really impacting your life, or maybe it's the first one that comes to mind. Think about what is happening around it. Jot down a few notes in your phone or a notebook. We're leaning into curiosity, not restriction and not judgment. We're just trying to see, are there any particular patterns? And we are not aiming for perfection. The second is a routine skill. And we have a couple you can choose from. One is to practice a box breath, which is 4 slow breaths where you typically hold in breath for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. Now that 4 could be faster or slower depending on what feels comfortable for you. Ideally, we do want this to be a little bit lower or slower than your typical breathing pattern. But the idea of these nervous system resets is to help you and your body feel safe in that space and time. And so if you are breathing so slow that you feel short of breath or uncomfortable, we need to adjust that. That defeats the purpose. We want you to feel safe and comfortable in your own body. The other option you can try on for size, is humming for a few seconds, which often as adults, we don't do as much, as I notice my kids doing this more often. Humming helps gently tone the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is this long wandering nerve, that's how it gets its name, that we've heard a lot about. But increasing the communication through our vagus nerve is helpful in giving some more of those safety signals to our body. Humming helps do that. And there's one practice out of literature on self-compassion that I love, which is just placing a hand on your chest. And if you happen to tune in to the session during the most recent summit with Dr. Barr, we talked a lot about the role of just placing a hand on your chest and taking 3 breaths. And you can even do this in the morning before you get out of bed. All of these we're aiming for very small. It almost seems like what would be the point, right? We want these to be very small. We want them to be doable. We want them to feel like they're yours. And we want them to become a part of this foundation. We're going to build on it. That's week 1. Now, in next week, Reclaim, we'll talk more about how much influence you have. You have more than you've been told, starting with barrier health, food we eat, blood sugar control, sleep, and the small shifts that help steady the whole system. So I'm so glad you've been here, and we'll see you then. Before we close this summit, I want to answer the question that I'm asked at the end of every one of these events. Kara, what do I do next? If you want my help, my team's help beyond today, there's one simple step. We've created the Rise and Stronger Pathway application. That's it. It's one form. It'll take you 3 or 4 minutes to fill out. When you fill it out, here's what we're going to look at. Where do you live? In part because we have different licensure regulations we have to think about. We want to know a little bit about what you're dealing with. How could we maybe help you? And how much help do you need, right? And based on that, my team and I will recommend or suggest one of 3 different levels of support. For some of you, that's a doctor-led medical care track. Full clinical support for folks with complex multi-system illness who qualify by state licensure and or can travel to see us in Columbus, Ohio. For some of you, it might be a 12-week guided program where you can get a clear plan, coaching, and structure with clinical care with and where our licenses allow, or a guided non-clinical path that is available more broadly. And for some of you, it's our community membership, education, real support from folks who get it, and a physician-designed and run movement plan with Dr. Allie that you can actually do. I also want to say this plainly because I know who is listening. Some of you are doing everything right, and money is the barrier. For you, we hold a small number of subsidized community spots each year. It is because of the amazing support of our Access Fund sponsors that we're able to help those who have true financial hardship. There's a box on the form to tell us that's your situation. Cost alone should never mean you have zero support. And please do not spend money you don't have on any program, mine or anyone else's, until it feels genuinely wise and safe. You don't need to figure out which level is the right. We're going to help you do that. If you fill out the application, you can tell us your story, a little bit about what's going on. We'll review it personally and we'll place you where we think, suggest where we think you'll get the best support. And if we don't think we're currently the right fit to work together, we'll tell you that too. The link is right below in the session. Thank you so much for spending these 3 days with us. Whatever you choose next, we believe you. We're honored to be a part of your story. And with that, our 5th annual virtual Sjögren Summit comes to a close. Please take a breath with me for a second. 3 days, a whole field of generous experts, and a room full of folks who showed up for their own health. That is not a small thing. To those of you watching, thank you for spending 3 days of your life with us. I know what your energy costs, and choosing to spend some of it learning about your body is an act of hope, and I don't take it lightly. And if you'd like to keep this year's summit and our full 5-year library for good, the option is in the hub too. If you're sitting there wondering what to do with all of this, there's one simple step. The Rise and Stronger Pathway application. It's one form, takes 3 or 4 minutes. My team and I will help suggest what level of support may fit your life at this point in time. That's it from us. Take good care of yourself this week and next. Go gently. Whatever you choose next, we believe you and we are so honored to be a part of your story. Take care.